Hey everybody, I'm Mike, and I wanted to shoot a video today about do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And I just had an experience recently where this came up, and it is hard to uh, want to be happy. uh, I think the ego just has such a hard time giving in. There's probably this feeling of like ego death. If I give in, like I'm gonna lose power or be walked on or something like that. So, I mean, these little arguments in the moment I think are tough, whether it's with family or friends or, a partner. And I think the closer we are, the kind of, the more we want to stick to a position. And, So yeah, I just noticed this happening in a relationship that I'm in with a partner, and it was a pretty, I think it's a really good example of it. So I'll break it down. So I was with my current partner, and we were in a beautiful place. We were right outside the Grand Canyon at a place called Horseshoe Bend, and it's one of the most like iconic scenic places in the country. And you're up on these cliffs and you're looking down on this beautiful bend in the Colorado River, and the water's just this like beautiful aquamarine, and there's giant red rock canyons, and it's just one of the it's amazing. So it's an amazing place. Anyway, I was there with my partner. We had been having a spectacular day, and we were really connected, really feeling close and together, and just having a lot of fun, laughing about silly things, being present. And we had gotten there's it's about a quarter-mile hike to the actual canyon down that looks over the river. So we were hiking down there, and we were really enjoying the hike. It was gorgeous, a perfect day, like I mean, just like one of those days with the blue sky and the clouds in the sky that almost looks like a painting or AI or something. And we were taking pictures along the trail and just having a great time. And then all of a sudden, we started talking about, I don't, this is me. I mean, of course, leave it to me to bring up a bad subject. She had been talking to her friend the night before after everybody else went to bed, and they were drinking wine, and they talked for hours, and I could hear them down below, and it was like just this constant chatter for hours. And so I thought it was funny in the time, because like below me it sounded like two birds going back and forth for hours, without letting up. And so I somehow brought up, I was like, wow, women can really talk. And she didn't really respond to the comment, and I should have known then to stop. And like she wasn't really responding. And then, for some reason that brought up in me, she is from a different country, and the two other people that were traveling with us spoke the same language she did. Everybody spoke English, but they also spoke a different language. I was the only one that didn't speak that language. And so I asked her right after that, I think because talking, the talking topic came up, that really didn't go anywhere. I don't know why, I brought this up, but I said, hey, listen, I've been feeling kind of uncomfortable when you guys are all speaking in a different language around me. I don't know what the conversation is, and I'm kind of lost, and it feels kind of rude. And I'm wondering if when we're having conversations, if you guys, or especially you, can speak in English, and kind of when you start conversations, start them in English. Well, she did not respond very well to that. I think in her previous relationship, she was very controlled by her husband, and I should say her ex-husband. And I think she has a real sore spot for control. So I think this immediately pushed one of her buttons. I wasn't really realizing at the time, but immediately she started to defend her position. And I don't even remember all the defenses, but she just kept bringing up points why why she should be able to speak in the language she wants to, and why she didn't want to be controlled, and problems in her other relationships. And it was like she was mounting a case. She was building her case of why, she should be able to speak this different language, and how what I was asking her to do was wrong. And, of course, when somebody's building a case, an argument is what it really is, even if it's done in a nice tone. I'm not, I'm listening, but at the same time, I'm building my argument. I'm building my case. So I was building my case, and to me, my case sounds really good. So, and my case sounded very logical, like I thought what was going on was rude, and I thought that wasn't very considerate the way she was handling it, and logically, her arguments to me didn't make any sense. And so, we got to one point in like where she finished kind of her defense, and then I said something. And a lot of times I can say something pretty smooth, but it has a little edge to it. And I remember just tiptoeing around that edge, and that can just escalate these things so quickly. And I decided not to continue. Decided not to continue to argue my point. I knew that wasn't going to go anywhere good. And so I just, I just stopped right there. But that's not the end of it. I wasn't done with it. That's the hard part, because, it's not easy to let go of a position. It really isn't. Like I said, the ego holds on to it so strongly, especially I think I'm right, and I want to let the other person, or prove to the other person, that I am right. And my feelings, I'm emotionally invested in it also, because my feelings were kind of hurt by that. I felt like, it was rude, and I felt like a little disrespected. So I let go of it. I stopped talking about it. I stopped arguing about it. We continued to walk, but all of a sudden, there's the disconnection. And maybe we're talking about something else around us now, but all of a sudden I'm not really there. I'm at one of the most beautiful places in the country, and I'm in my head still in an argument, even though I'm not arguing with her directly. And I'm sorry, the sun's really bright out here. It's in my eyes. That's why I'm squinting. So I'm still in my head, and I have a charge now. I have an emotional charge now, because not only was I disrespected, now I feel like I'm kind of being directly disrespected. She's not listening to me, and she's telling me why I'm wrong. So now I have like this double charge going, and so my emotions are making my mind spin around, and I'm just building this case in my head. And literally, we're like 5 minutes down the path now. I haven't said anything. We're both not talking to each other. We're both disconnected. We're not enjoying this amazing place that we're around. And I literally start thinking, this is how crazy my mind gets. I start to think, well, this is not going anywhere. I can't be with a woman who can't see logic. Like, this is a huge red flag. And I'm thinking that this is probably going to be the end of the trip and the end of the relationship. Like, we're going to not talk until we get back to the place tonight, and it's going to be really weird, and I'm not going to, I don't know how we're going to get through this, because even though I'm not arguing with her, I don't, I'm not going to get over this feeling. So I'm literally thinking about maybe I should, call about flights later tonight. And that's how fast my mind goes, and how fast my mind reacts to this not a big situation. And maybe I'm a really big overreactor. I don't know. You guys can be the judge, and it's okay if I am. I'm very sensitive. So what we did was we continued to walk, and then we went up on this rock, and we just decided to sit still and meditate, because both of us didn't have anything to say. We're disconnected, feeling awful. So we went up on this rock, and we were meditating and just sitting there, and we took about 10 minutes to kind of collect our thoughts and just be still. And I started to settle. I think I started to feel what was going on in my body. I think I'm walking right now because somebody just walked up over there where I was. And I started to feel what was going on in my body. And I think even some tears might have come out of my face, out of my eyes. The charge lessened a little bit. And also, I was just kind of praying and trying to just let go of this charge and this resentment. And I finally came to the point where I decided I'm not only going to not argue, I'm actually going to tell her in the moment that she was right and I shouldn't have brought anything up about that it was my fault. And my body and part of my mind didn't believe it at the moment, but I was firmly in the understanding at that point that neither of us were happy. I'm creating part of this where I'm ruining what could be one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, and that if I commit to being wrong and not talking about it anymore with her, and just letting her be right, then I figured that it would probably make me and her feel better. And it was a really difficult thing to do. So this is what I'm saying, choosing to be happy was not easy for me. It was my mind wanted to do anything else but be happy. But I finally let it go, and I leaned over, I turned toward her and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. What I said was wrong. I don't want to argue, and I won't bring it up again." And then I went further and I said, "I will never say anything about what language you want to speak, and you can speak whatever language you want anytime with anybody." And so saying that to her also created a commitment within myself where I couldn't go back. My mind couldn't go back on this and bring the argument up again and then try to, get upset when she was speaking another language later down on the trip. So I felt it was good because I was kind of committing to myself. And so it didn't even feel, I felt a little better in the moment. And what we did was then we decided to walk up the canyon and look over at the Horseshoe Bend, the really, really beautiful part of it. So we hiked up there. That took us another 5 minutes. We looked over the canyon, and then I turned around and my partner came up to me and looked me in the eye and said to me some of the most beautiful moments in her life had been spent with me. And this just came out of the blue. It almost it was like being hit in the face with an uppercut of love. It almost knocked me back. It was one of the most loving things somebody could say to me. It was a compliment and also just like a transmission right to my heart. And in the time I least expected it. And it felt so good, and it took, it was the exact opposite of everything that was going on. It was this huge dose of love, and it immediately basically erased all the feelings that were taking place up to that point. And, in hindsight, what I did was I gave her love by not reacting, by letting her be right, and by not arguing. And it was a really difficult thing to do, and I didn't even realize, what I was doing in the moment. I was letting go of my ego, myself, my position, and letting her be right. And it was a real act of love. And she felt that. Even though it didn't feel good to me at the time, she felt that. And so it's like this unconscious message to her, or this transmission to her that, hey, I love you and I'm willing to let go for you. And then she responded to that in an incredible way, a way I couldn't even guess that she would or would have never expected. And So then all of a sudden the connection is restored between us. And then I wanted to say to her, you know, like, that's the most loving thing probably anybody's ever said to me. And I just wanted to connect with her and respond to her and then give her, like, I received her love. So then it made me want to give it back to her. And so then all of a sudden, we held hands and then we walked over to this beautiful spot right up on the canyon edge, and we sat there together, and all of a sudden we were present and able to hear everything and see everything and just drink in all the beauty around us. And at the same time, we were just like so connected to each other, and it was, you know, it was amazing. Now you have, like, it's an exponential beauty because you're connected with your partner. You feel awesome. Love's moving through your heart. You're touching them. You're holding hands with them. I think we were even maybe like shoulder to shoulder at that point. And then you're just experiencing all that together. And when you're really connected to somebody, I become more present, and my whole body relaxes. My mind relaxes. It's just like a big exhale, and then inhaling in everything around me. So we felt really good, and then we decided to shoot a video. So we shot a video then about that disconnection, kind of like the video I'm shooting now, but we both talked about it, but my camera filled up and we didn't get the whole thing clearly shot, or I would be using that video. But it was just, you know, and then for the rest of the day and that night, we were incredibly connected and just love each other's presence. So it was a big lesson for us, you know, or especially for me. Oh, and then later on in the trip, you know, I had told her she could do whatever she wanted to do, speak whatever language she wanted to speak. And then later on in the trip, she continued to speak Russian, almost even more to her friends. And it was, you know, it's still, I thought, you know, now that I told her that and we had exchanged all that love, she probably wouldn't do it anymore, just because it would be another act of love, her giving back to me that way. But she didn't. In a sense, I thought she maybe did it even more. And I think it was a test, an unconscious test to see if I would go back and revisit that control. And it really stirred up some anxiety in me, but I didn't act out on it. I didn't say anything. And every time it happened, the anxiety was less and less until it didn't bother me at all. And I could literally sit there and listen and smile. And so, you know, it's even more of an amazing practice, you know, just letting those things go by and be happy instead of trying to control a situation and be right. So yeah, I think that's all I got. And, you know, I can't imagine if I would have tried to be right and I kept going down that path, it's very possible that I could have booked a flight home. That's how fast it can happen. That's how crazy it can get. That disconnection can build so fast. The emotions really get escalated because of that. And we make terrible decisions based on emotion. And, you know, so in that moment, I chose, you know, I chose to be happy, but it wasn't easy. It's not an easy process. But I think the more we practice it, the better we get at it. So as an experiment, next time when you're with your partner or your family or whoever, and you see this position that you want to argue against, try letting it go. And if it's, you know, a partner, maybe try telling them that you're sorry and that you won't do it again, and that they were right. I mean, it's a way we can commit to them and see what happens. See if they don't react more loving than they had in ages. So it's a wild practice. I hope you experiment with it. And if you do, leave a comment here. And that's all I got. I love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.